Today on Big Red's Cooking, we look at common kitchen knives and proper knife grip. Hi there, and welcome back to Big Red's Cooking. I'm Darcy, aka Big Red, and I want to thank you for joining me again. Today I'd like to talk about kitchen knives. Now, I did a video the other day, and I'm hoping some of you saw it, all about how to properly sharpen a knife. Today I'm actually going to talk about some of the different knives that you need to have in a kitchen. And the reality of it is that almost everything you can do in a kitchen, or you need to do in a kitchen, you can do with just 3 knives. Now, I do have 6 knives displayed here, and I'm going to talk about the uses of all of them, and I'll tell you even what the proper names of them are. But in reality, you can limit yourself to just 3 knives. So I see people going out and buying these these blocks of knives. You know, and they come with all kinds, and the reality of it is that they never use them. They don't need most of those. You know, my suggestion is to go to a good commercial kitchen supply place and buy yourself a good quality knife. I've got knives that are probably older than some of the people watching this video. They're definitely a lot older than most of the students that I'm teaching these days. You know, I've got one knife here that I bought used from a sous chef in 1993, and he had had it for about 5 years at that point, and it still works great. It's because I maintain my knives. I bought good quality knives. So I think one of the most important things to do is to pick up that knife and hold it in your hand. It should have a good balance to it. It should feel good in your hand, and I'm even going to show you, I'll show you a couple little things around the proper grip on the knife. So the reality of it is the most important knife in a kitchen is called a chef's knife or a French knife. And it's this one right here. Right, now this is a 10-inch. A lot of people prefer something a little bit shorter. I like this. I've worked with even bigger ones in the past. Okay. Now my personal preference is the Victorinox. But just like the whole Pepsi versus Coke, it is a personal thing. I've got a lot of friends who love the Henkel knives, other friends love Global knives, and there's all kinds of different brands out there, Wurststoff. Right. But it's really important to find a good quality knife. Like I say, hold it, make sure it grips well in your hand and it feels good. You want to see that it's got a good balance to it, and you can see that I can just put it right on the end of my finger here, and it's well balanced between the handle and the blade itself. This knife right here, this is about 90% of the work that you'll ever do in a kitchen. Now, the 2 other most important knives would be our serrated edge, you know, commonly referred to as a bread knife, but we use it for so much more. I'll actually use this when we're peeling vegetables, and I'll do a demonstration in a future video on how to peel vegetables and fruit using this serrated edge. Right? It's really good for sawing through things. And again, now this one, I would never spend a lot of money onto them because they do wear out over time. Right? And you're going to want to be able to replace that one. Our last most important knife is our paring knife. Right? So the pare is the peel. Something small and easy. We're going to use this one for doing little fine detail work, for peeling certain vegetables and things like that. Right? The reality of it is those are the 3 knives that you will need most in the kitchen. Like I say, buy good quality ones and they will last a lifetime. Now, I do have 3 other favorite knives that I like to use, and I use them a lot. I have myself a vegetable cleaver. Right? This is a typical Chinese knife. And again, I didn't pay a lot for this one. I bought this one in 1997. It's great for chopping, especially if I'm doing a lot of vegetables. I can get a really good flow going. I can hold it up against my fingers, and I'll talk about knife grip later. This one here, I mentioned the knife I bought used. This is my scimitar. Right? So a scimitar is used for butchery work. It's really good for getting in there for cutting meats and things like that. So unless you're taking whole strip loins and breaking them down to steaks, unless you're doing a lot of butchery work, you really have no need for this knife. It looks cool, it's sort of a sword shape and things like that. But it's not really the most practical knife for most applications. Like I say, you're really only going to need it for butcher work. But I do love it. You know, this knife here was originally purchased in 1988. We're talking now it's 2020, so this is a 32-year-old knife and still is in great shape. Takes an edge really well. The last knife that I think is a good one to have, again, is a boning knife. Now there are different shapes. I like the one that's a little bit curved. This is a nice stiff blade. There are different types of boning knives out there. You can get a soft one. That one tends to be used for fish and whatnot. And then the firmer one, this one is used more for meats. Now again, unless you're doing a lot of butcher work, you really have no need for this knife whatsoever. But again, this is another one I actually bought off my sous chef. At the time, he had bought himself a whole brand new set of knives, so he was selling all of them off. And this one is probably another 35-year-old knife and does a great job. Again, another Victorinox, just like that one. So really, those are the only knives that you will need in a kitchen. Your French knife, your serrated edge, and your paring knife. Take some time, find good ones, find ones that fit well in your hand, and you'll be so much happier. Alright, so I'm just going to put these other ones to the side, and what we'll do is I'm going to show you really briefly on how to grip a knife properly. And actually, I think what's the most important part about it is making sure that you don't cut yourself. Now this personally is something that's really, really important to me because I did. Early in my career, before I'd actually developed good knife skills, I took the top off this thumb, right on through, piece size of a dime. I've got a lovely scar right there. Right, so you can see that scar. So this is something I really harp on my students about all the time. So the most important thing is that we want to use our thumb and our index finger to grip the blade. Right, so really, you pinch that blade between your thumb and your finger, and then you wrap the rest of your hand, your other three fingers, around that knife. So you can see right there. Doing that means that that blade is going to go where your hand goes. It's not going to twist. If you're gripping it by that hand, depending on what you're cutting, especially dealing with stuff that's wet, our hands get a little bit slippery. That blade, that handle can slide through our hand. So by taking that knife from our middle finger, our ring finger, and our pinky down on the handle, and then really right there at the base of our finger, right across the top of our blade, pinch that, and we have a really good, solid, firm grip. That knife is not going to go anywhere. It's going to take a little bit of time to figure out where you want to be able to grip that, but it's really important, like I say. Now, the other part is what we call our guiding hand. So, you'll develop what I call the claw. All right, and what's really important with this is that you learn to tuck those fingertips in underneath. So if you look, you can see that that middle joint of my finger is perpendicular to my cutting board and parallel to my knife. My fingertips are tucked underneath. My thumb is in behind my hand and really acts almost like a counterbalance or a leg. Right? Think about this as the top of a table. And then what we want to do, and again, this really is what freaks a lot of people out, and a lot of my students struggle with this early on, but it's getting that knife up against that finger. Right? Now you can rotate that hand, you can use your index finger if you want. Myself personally, I like to use that middle finger. And that knife stays up, and no matter whether I'm using the tip or the back of my knife, that finger stays up against that blade. And that means I know where that blade is at all times. Right? If my hand is away and I'm cutting, I have no sense of where that blade is, and it's going to be too easy to cut myself. In doing this, you can see that that edge cannot come near my fingers at all because my fingertips are tucked in underneath. So by having those fingers tucked in underneath, I can chop away all day long and have no worries whatsoever about cutting myself. So that's a little bit about knives, about knife grip. I hope this helped you. I hope this is going to make your cooking a little bit better. I hope it's going to make your kitchen work a little bit more enjoyable for you. I hope you have a great day. I hope you're eating some good food. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this video, as always, I'm going to ask you to like and share. Please subscribe if you want to get notifications about future videos. As I say, sharing this with your friends is hugely helpful to me. I'm trying to build a bit of an audience right now. Shameless plug. All right, so keep tuning back. I'm going to have more videos. And if there's anything around tools and equipment that you would love to know about, you want to know how to use better, what to buy, things like that, feel free to leave me a comment below. I try and respond to comments as quickly as I can. Thanks and have yourself a great day.